Hello everybody, my name is Kai, and welcome back to Warframe. Today we will be taking a look at Garuda Prime, the Blood Queen herself. Before we get started with the many builds I have to show you guys today, I would just like to remind everybody that I do have a Patreon now. You can go check it out at the link in the description below to directly influence some of the content that is made on the channel. And while you're down there, join my Discord too. A huge thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon: The Bad Monk, Scotty Nose, Young Mung, Board Platypus, Matt Goat, Airzos, Bad Robot, and Jade the Rabbit. You guys are awesome and help make all of this possible. Moving on back to Garuda though, this video is going to assume you already have a decent understanding of base Garuda's mechanics. I'm going to be showing off a lot of different builds here with different playstyles, so if you have any extra questions, make sure to ask them down below in the comments because I will reply to all of them. With that being said, the first build that I have to showcase for you guys today is a very powerful synergy between Garuda's fourth ability, Seeking Talons, and Breach Surge, Wisp's Helmet. Because Seeking Talons tags enemies with a /DOT while also doing slash damage, when you combine this with a Breach Surge, which requires ticks of damage to send out its surge sparks, you get an infinitely repeating slash tick which continues to increase its own damage as it hits more enemies. Obviously, this build is very strong because slash damage does bypass enemy armor, and Breach Surge allows it to continuously repeat itself, which means you get an infinitely scaling, which can essentially go to level cap, slash tick. All Garuda builds today will be using 45 efficiency because energy is not a problem for her because of her third ability, Bloodletting. This ability has Garuda trade her own health for energy, giving her 25% of her energy for 50% of her health. To regain this health, I like to use either Magus Anomaly or Molt Reconstruct, as they both provide health in very easy to proc ways. You cannot kill yourself with Bloodletting as it will only reduce you to 2 health, but just go in and out of your operator and you will regain all of your health with Elevate, and you can then double cast again. Reconstruct, on the other hand, allows you to double cast and then cast any ability to regain your health. My Reconstruct is only rank 1, but at max rank you get 6 health per energy spent on abilities. And because Garuda can run 45 efficiency very comfortably, one cast of any ability, Breach Surge in this case, will fully refill your health. Besides this, we build for very high strength on this build as we want to get a high multiplier for our Breach Surge to increase the damage that Seeking Talons provides. Almost every build today will also feature natural talent because Garuda's abilities really like casting speed, especially this very ability heavy build. Archon Flow also gives us a huge energy max because we are running 45 efficiency. We want to have a big pool for Bloodletting to fill. Range is also important to get a big AoE radius on our Breach Surge, and Dread Mirror likes range for its nuking capabilities and just some duration for its frontal damage blocking effect. I'd call this build a little bit more spammy than the rest of them, but definitely one of the strongest Garuda builds possible, because Breach Surge and Seeking Talons creates an infinite damage loop, as I've already stated. But it can get a lot more interesting than this, so why don't we move on to the next build. Garuda and Gloom is one of the most popular community helmet combos for her, as it is essentially a better and more mobile version of Garuda's base 2, providing you with a 95% slow and healing on damage, which are both things that are easily achievable and wanted since Garuda can run the 272% strength needed for 95% Gloom slow very easily, and the healing on damage pairs nicely with spamming her 3 for infinite energy on a drain heavy ability like Gloom. This can get bolstered even further by using her augment Bloodforge. This augment allows Garuda to reload her equipped weapon entirely whenever you cast Bloodletting, which is something you'll be doing often because it is how you regain energy on this build. Weapons like the Kuvazar or the Tenant Envoy work best for this, as they are high damage, large AoE weapons that are burdened by having really long reload times. This is easily one of the highest KPM builds in the entire game, as you run around with essentially infinite nuke weapon that doesn't need to reload. Bloodletting refills your energy from your health, and then also refills the mag of your gun, so as you damage things, you regain your health, allowing you to again cast Bloodletting for more energy because you have Gloom active. It also provides a 95% slow against enemies, meaning they barely do anything in terms of fighting back, and her Dread Mirror provides her with the effects of Prime Sure-Footed, which means you can shoot launchers at your feet with the mirror up and suffer no stagger. This build is practically identical to the previous, except we swap out a duration mod for Bloodforge, so we obviously get the reload effect. We also don't need Molt Reconstruct's healing, so I opt for Arcane Acceleration so I can spam my Envoy or Zar a little bit harder. Besides that though, the rest of the build is very similar in the way that it builds its stats, mainly for max Gloom slow and decent range and duration. Next up, we have a very interesting synergy between Banish, which is Limbo's helmet, and Garuda's claws. Normally, enemies that are banished into the rift by Banish are unable to be damaged by weapons and only abilities, but for some reason, Garuda's claws are able to affect enemies through the rift, as they are technically counted as an exalted ability because they are her passive. Enemies that are banished into the rift cannot damage Garuda under any circumstances, so you are practically immortal while using this build, but you can damage them through the rift with her claws. On the claws, we build mainly for slash as they already have a very high slash weighting. We have no room to slot in viral here though, so we do outsource this to a Panzerwolfepfeiler through viral quills because this will pass through the rift and continue to prime enemies. We build for very high strength on this Garuda, which gives Banish a 77 meter range, but there is a caveat to this that we really cannot control. Banish is a very odd cast, as in it comes out in a cone area, which means that enemies that are directly to the left or right of Garuda, which will happen a lot because this is a melee build, will not be affected because again, it comes out in a cone manner, which increases as your range from your enemies increases. Because this build is a little dangerous in terms of survivability, we use blending talents because this is a great tool for shield gating on Garuda. Without the augment, talents is a long casting time and only affects enemies within the ring. With the augment though, you can instead just tap the ability to quick cast and affect all enemies in a radius around Garuda. And like I said before, you can affect enemies with this ability through the rift, so you run into a big group of enemies that are all banished, tap this ability, and then go to town on them with your claws to get all those extra slash procs that it gives. Again, it is also a great tool for shield gating, as Garuda is immune during the cast and also gains obviously the 1.3 seconds of shield gate after the fact. Since this is a melee build, we are using Steel Charge in the aura slot alongside Arcane Strike and Arcane Fury to dramatically increase the DPS output of our claws. On the claws themselves, we are using Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds. Blood Rush puts us above 200% critical chance, and Weeping Wounds guarantees us to get a slash proc on practically every hit. We don't use Condition Overload because you can't prime enemies through the rift, so Prime Pressure Point works just fine. Since we're doing mainly slash damage, we do want to use a Smite mod to double dip, and Berserker Fury increases our attack speed alongside Strike. Prime Breach gives us a crazy range of almost 5 meters at only rank 9, and Gladiator Might provides us with more crit damage and crit chance, stacking with Blood Rush, and Organ Shatter plus Gladiator Might gives us a 5x critical multiplier. Back to the Garuda build, we are using Blind Rage to give us a 100% bleed chance for our blending talents, but this is not a problem because we've already gone over why 45 efficiency can be run comfortably. Rolling Guard gives us more iframes and status cleanse. Her 3 already does this, but it's just more comfortable here, and I've already gone over why we use blending talents for shield gating. Natural talent speeds up the cast of that, and Archon Flow provides us with a big energy max, so we don't need to worry about running out of energy often. And finally, Prime Continuity gives us a good duration for her mirror, so we don't need to be recasting it often. This build is definitely a little bit dangerous, as the only survivability you have is through shield gating, which is good, but besides that, you do have banishing enemies into the rift, which does work, but the odd way that enemies are banished into the rift, its cone nature, makes it so it's a little bit inconsistent, but blending talents provides us with a really high increase to our slash ticks and a really easy way to shield gate. Now, since we cannot prime enemies through the rift, like I said before, Panzerwolfepfeiler's viral quills will go through the rift, so that is where we get our viral stacking here from, but it is a little inconsistent sometimes. Overall, a very fun and unique build that I definitely recommend you go try out. Bringing us to the final build for today's video, I have a insanely cool and good combination between Garuda and Nourish. Nourish is one of the best helmet abilities in the game, and Garuda just pushes it even further like everything else. Nourish provides all of your weapons with viral damage, which is very important because it allows us to run a slash-oriented build on her claws and still be ticking enemies with viral. And then for one of the most broken synergies I've ever seen, tagging enemies with her 4 while Nourish is active actually procs them with slash and viral. This creates an absolutely insane combo of running around while using the blending talent augment to quick tap her 4 to prime all enemies in the immediate area with slash, with viral, and the extra slash ticks that her 4 gives, on top of your claws already doing ridiculous amounts of slash and viral damage. Since this is again a melee-oriented build, we're using the same arcanes and aura slots, and the build on the talent stays the same, except you could swap out Prime Pressure Point for Condition Overload if you feel like priming. We build for really high strength here, as the buff that Nourish provides is as if we'd added an extra 208% viral damage mods to our claws itself, significantly increasing their damage output. We don't need Rolling Guard in the build because Bloodletting provides us with energy and a status cleanse, and her 4th ability paired up with the augment provides us with that AoE viral prime while also increasing our slash DOTs and giving us a very easy shield gate. This is probably my favorite Garuda build that I've showcased for you guys today. The raw power that it provides with how Nourish treats her 4th as a weapon essentially, which allows it to proc viral, is just absolutely crazy. And blending talents giving me that really quick priming paired with her talents in general just being super good as melee weapons. Yeah, this one is a little bit crazy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative and helped you, because I had a good time making this one. Garuda is one of my most played frames, and I thought I'd take another look at her, especially because this synergy is so absolutely crazy. I was going to do a video on just it by itself at the start, but decided to showcase a couple more really cool ones. I will be live streaming shortly after the release of this video, so keep your eye out for that, and go check out my Patreon at the link in the description below, and join my Discord while you're down there too. I hope you're all well, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!